Welcome to Scrap Thursday. We're doing fall cards again. Come on in.
Hello everybody, it's Julia with Senior Susie Stamps, and today is Thursday, and so we are continuing with our scrap card series, and I wanted us to think about using different sizes of card bases today, because what I have found is this. A lot of times, if you'll think outside the box of A2 size cards, it allows you a broader spectrum of sizes of paper to use, and so that way you can use up more scraps more readily. So let's go get started, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. We're going to use scraps from 3 different packs, and some of it is some white core colored cardstock that I got from Hobby Lobby, and it has kind of a linen texture, and it has a variety of colors, so we're going to use some of the browns. I also have this green based pieces that have some leaves in them, and then I have these pieces that also came from another pack. It was a 6x12 pack from Hobby Lobby several years ago in kind of a fall theme. So this is what we're going to use today. Now I've used my corrugator and a sanding block on one of the cards, and we'll look at that in just a minute. So I have 3 card bases today, and this is a mini slimline that's 6 1/4 by 3 1/4. This is a 4 1/4 inch square card, which is the cutoff from the mini slimline, and then I have a standard A2 top fold card. So that's what we're going to use today. And let's look at the scrap pieces that I've got, and I've kind of got them pulled up into some possible card makes. Oh, these are some leaves that I made the other day. I did a little short video on these leaves, so if you haven't seen it, it's over in the shorts. I don't quite understand all that YouTube short and not short and stuff and such, but at any rate, that's where that is, because I processed it out as 60 seconds. So we may use some of these today. And then I also have this little bunch here, this bunch of scraps here. And let's go ahead and get this A2 size card knocked out. And I took some of that linen paper and ran it through the corrugator, because I wanted a little bit of a different background for this. These corrugators came out, gosh, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago now, maybe 10 years ago, something like that. They're not available new any longer. If you find one at Goodwill or on eBay or whatever, I would get it, because they are just a nice addition to your studio for doing strange little things like this, just for a different kind of background. So I corrugated it, and then I sanded it with my little sandpaper block, and then I flipped it over on the back, and I rubbed some of the corrugated out so it would be a little smoother. That way it will hold to the paper better, but you still get a lot of texture. What I was looking for was kind of a little corduroy feel, and it kind of has that, so I'm tickled with it. Let's go ahead and get that put down. And I'm going to use my ATG roller, because I was able to flatten out the corrugated on that paper enough that I believe it will hold. If it had not flattened out, I would be using glue, because it would be kind of a limited surface area to glue down. Now I have this scrap here, and it is 3 inches by 10 and probably 3/8, and we could cut this in a lot of different ways. 3 inches on the A2 size layer is 4 1/4, and that would leave 6 1/4 inches, which means there would just be a little small cutoff to use for a mini slimline card. or we could cut 2 of those and have a scrap left. Well, the objective in this series is to use up scraps. So I'm going to cut a mini slimline card and a layer for A2 out of this piece of paper. And the first cut I'm going to do is going to be 3 inches by 4 1/4. I've already measured this and I know it's 3 inches wide this way. So I'm just going to cut this at 4 1/4. And so that will go down. But I don't think I'm going to put that in the center, and let me tell you why. I'm going to go ahead and stamp this stamp onto this kind of linen-y paper, and I'm going to pull that over to the very side there. So I want this piece to kind of be over that way a little bit more than an even edge would be. Kind of something like that will work, I think. So that one's ready to put down now. So I'm going to pull it, make it equal distance top and bottom, but pull it over to the side some. There we go. Now, this is an old stamp. It's a Stampin' Up! Stamp, but I have no idea how old it is. It's a little loose on the foam, and the foam is just a little bit hard. So to me, that means I need to pre-stamp this. Let's go ahead and do that and just see. This is kind of all part of using things in your studio. It's just searching out for things that work together. The reason I chose this stamp is because it has oak leaves in it, which is in that paper. And it's a nice overall stamp. And that works great. Good. So I don't have to pull that stamp. I was prepared to do that, pull it and put it on the Misty, but I don't think we need to. I don't have any dark brown pigment ink, or I would be using that instead of this Memento Rich Cocoa. Still get the linen effect. So that's the side that we're going to use. I'll put an X on that so I don't get confused later. I believe I'm going to put a little stamp edge on this, just to give it a little more interest. There we go. Yeah, I kind of like that. That's fine. Now, I am going to put that up on some foam and elevate it. And get my tweezers, because you know I can't do anything without them. There we go. Just right like that, I think. Nice card. Now, I believe that's going to have a little twine. And I have some of this kind of natural fiber that goes nicely with that back sheet. But then I kind of like the brightness of the brown and white, so let's just mix them. How about that? When you can't make up your mind, just use it all. Well, you know, sometimes you just have to experiment a little in your studio and see what you like. I'm wondering about doing a double wrap, but I think that might be a little bit too much. So let's just do one and double up on the bow, but not the tail. Then I'm going to see if I can use some of those leaves that I made the other day, just for a little embellishment for this. All right, let's see if some of these little leaves would be nice on there. There's an oak leaf right there. Maybe do a little something with the bow. How about it? About those two right there like that. And then the bow. Yep, I think I like that. And then we won't put a sentiment on the outside of that, and that way I can come back and use it maybe for a birthday card or thinking of you, and we'll just see how that goes. But let's finish it up this way for now. All right, there we go, one done. Now, I want to look at a slimline, mini slimline next. And I think there's two options. We can either use this piece that we just cut off and trim it down. And let's go ahead and do that so that we use that piece. And it needs to be 6 inches instead of 6 1/4 or 6 plus a little. So we'll trim that off. This piece is going in the bin. And maybe that'll be the only piece we have to throw out today. I don't know for sure. We'll find out, won't we? And see, if I had cut that for another A2 size card, then I would have had a piece about like this left over. Well, then you got to figure out what to do with that. So it's easier just to change your card base size and accommodate a little larger piece of scrap paper that way. And this makes a very nice base for a card. Let's see what else we got in this stack of stuff here. I've got these 2 pieces. I have 2 more little pieces. And I have this piece. And I'm thinking maybe that one. Okay, let's see what we can come up with. These are obviously a little too big, so let's trim them down to use. Now they are directional, so we'll have to kind of keep track of that. And let's make them 2 layers down. So this is 6 by 3, so let's make it 2.5 by 5.5. Now let's see what we got there, and that makes a layer. So I'm going to put a piece of tape on this. You saw me do this the other day, and it's going to use up both of these little scraps of paper that way. And the fact that the pattern does not match exactly, it doesn't bother me because we're going to cover that up. Every bit of that little seam is going to be covered up, and this is a real good way to use some of your little scrap papers and get them used up. It would have been nicer if the pattern had been exactly following down the line, but I think your eye will take care of that and compensate. So now let's just see, what do we have to go with that? Oh, I have, wait a minute now, over here in this pack I have kind of a little piece like that. That might work, but maybe this little contrasting piece would be better. Let's try that and see. Let's do 1 by 3 1/4, and that will cover that entire card all the way to the white then. All right, that's looking better already. And see, moving from the top to the bottom, your eye just doesn't worry about that this edge on that paper and this edge is a little different. Your brain compensates for that. Okay, I'm going to glue this piece down, and we'll just keep working away at this little card and see what we can come up with. It's an adventure in card making. That's what you can look at, scraps. Because you just never know what you'll end up with if you open your sizes up and figure it out as you go. That's one of the things on these videos. I don't do a whole lot of prep work on these because I think you all probably want to see it being figured out. That to me is helpful. Let's run the corrugator and just see, because we can, how that works on this. And I think we'll do it this way. So you put it in and kind of squeeze it down and then pull it through. And sometimes when you get to kind of the end of it, it gets a little squirrely on you and kind of wonky, but I just wouldn't worry about too much about that. I like that. Now I'm going to leave the corrugated on that and just glue it. And you'll see now I'm going to be a little generous with my glue and ride these ridges with it, because the ridges are the only thing that's going to hold the paper down. the valleys won't hold anything. Now I'm going to bring this over to my grid lines here and get this put in the middle of the card. And the corrugated shortened that piece up just a little bit because you can kind of flatten it back out enough to get your, there you go. There we go. There we go. Now, I think we'll use this stamp, and I believe there's enough white on this card to go ahead and use one of these pieces of scrap here that were left from the card bases. And let's do brown ink again. And I'm thinking maybe we'll cut this in a bit of a circle just to kind of change it up some. But first of all, I want to put just a little bit of color on that acorn. Let me get a couple pens. This is GB7 and EB2. It doesn't matter on this kind of stuff because we're just going to put a little color. I'm not a good colorist, but that doesn't stop me from coloring, and it shouldn't stop you either, because people love this kind of stuff when they get it. Oh, she fixed that colored up for me, and they love it. So just don't worry so much about everything having to be perfect, because it just doesn't on a handmade card. Now I'm going to get a circle punch. So this is the 1.5, and that's just right. And while I went to get that punch, I was remembering this piece, and I don't like that, so we're not using that. We're going to do a 1 3/4 inch out of this piece and just make a little edge for that. There. I'm going to angle that just a little bit on the acorn and just make this a really simple card. Let's see, I think I'll put this up on some foam. Lots of texture on this card with the linen paper and then the corrugated as well. There we go. And I think this one also needs a little bow. I think we'll take 3 little punches out of this and try that and see. Since am having trouble coming up with some little gems, this may be just right. Yeah, I kind of like that. Alright, let's go with it. And again, when I'm setting stuff like this, I'll do the 2 outside ones first and try to get them in line. And then I put the middle one in. It's easier to set them that way. There we go. Now I'm not happy with that bow. I think I'm just going to do brown and white because I think it needs to brighten up just a little bit, and I believe we'll make it just a little bit bigger. And I'll finish the inside when I get ready to send it. So there's card number 2. Let's look at card number 3 for today. And I have kind of a mishmash of stuff here to use. I'm going to use the 4 1/4 inch square folding card. Now, in the United States, we used to be able to send cards in this size and get them into a 4 1/2 inch envelope and they'd go fine, but I think they may have changed the regulations on that. So what I've been doing with these pieces is mounting them up onto a larger base. Let me show you right quick. This is one I did the other day, and you can see how it opens up that way, and this back part then is just scrap white paper and some other kind of paper, but this is the actual card base that was left from cutting that mini slimline card. So that's what we're going with today. And we're going to use this as the top layer on the base, and then use this on top of another white base for the back layer. I think that'll be fine. And then I got some brown, maybe for an accent. So let's start with that. And I need a piece of white cardstock that's big enough for the base. It doesn't look like I have any in my white cardstock scraps, so I need to go get a full sheet. Now the envelopes that I buy that are square are 5.5-inch square, and they will go for the base rate postage. If you get much bigger than that here in the United States, then they start charging you extra postage. But that's why I buy that particular size. And that means then that I can put a 5.25-inch base, square base, inside that card as the very first layer for the card. And it also gives you a really nice spot in the back where you can write a nice little enclosed note if you want to. So now this being the first layer on that's going to be 5 by 5. These are really simple cards to make. Of course, this is going back in the scrap pile. If I can get a hold of it. There's that one. And then this will go on top of that, and then this is a 4.25-inch square, so this piece needs to be 4 by 4. Make sense? Well, I guess I should check and see. Yep, I have enough. Good deal. So 4 by 4. And I think I can probably cut a little piece off of this. Just a little 1/2-inch piece to go on the inside as a little strip, and cut down that scrap as well. And there we go. Okay, let's get this card put together and see what we come up with. I like working off of a square card format. I kind of go in spurts with it though. It's the same way with the mini slimline. I kind of go in spurts with that too. I like both of those formats. I'm not a big fan of the full-size slimline card. You know, I just don't like that business envelope that they go in. To me, it's just too much business. I guess because I worked in a business office when I was working, and I just don't want to go back there with that. I don't want to send my cards out in those envelopes. So this has got just a little piece here that needs to be trimmed off, where I didn't get it folded quite right. It might not be noticeable to anybody but me, but I saw it, so there it's got to go. And this will go right about like that. There we go. I'm just checking the pattern to make sure it looks about right. There, and see, that's a nice frame on that card. And then we'll put our fall theme paper up on top of that. And I think it's going to be a cute card. Let's just see. Sometime in this series, I'm going to do another white scrap card, or white scrap usage, because my white scraps are getting just a little fuller than what I like to have. Now, I have this little leftover piece here. We have this little bow that we made just a second ago that I didn't care too much for. I kind of like this piece on there better than that. That's a little blah, isn't it? Yep, it's blah. I don't like it. So let's see. I'm kind of working with that just a little bit. And let me pull my leaves back out. Oh, yeah, I'm thinking this is going to work. What do you think? And we'll use up some of these little guys. I just think these are cute. I hope you like them. I think they're adorable. Okay, come on now. They're a little hard to pick up, though. I had to extend my cutter blade on the Scan and Cut because I used to get 65-pound paper, and the paper that I found last time was 80-pound, and so I had to extend my cutter blade to cut these out. Yeah, I think that'll work all right. Now, let's cut this to 4 1/4. Tape that down flat. I'm thinking kind of down, like maybe this here. Let's use the pattern paper on the back side to balance with here, and there I think will work. Okay, I'm going to put some of these leaves up on some foam. Where'd the foam go? Well, let me figure out the sentiment that we're going to use first. Changed horses in the middle of the stream here. I think Blessings is a good one, and we'll make it a Thanksgiving card and put this on the inside. Okay, that works. I'll do the sentiment in black on this one, I think. There we are. Now, get that covered up, and we can put our little leaves down. We'll use that same bow that we made, because I think it'll work fine with this card. I didn't care for it with that other one too much. Okay. We'll be through with this in just another second. And we'll put that right down there. And put this little bow, snuggle it up right in between those leaf stems. There. Now, I want to cut 3 more little punches out of this. And we'll see if we need them on this card. Well, this is where I kind of wish you all were live, because I know you're saying yes, or no, or maybe, or something, and you could tell me. But I think it kind of helps a little bit tie everything together, so I'm going to go ahead and put those down. Now, we were going to put this piece on the inside, and it will probably have to be trimmed off, of course. No, I think it'd be fine. You can go right across there. It has to be trimmed. Well, where's my knife? That's where this little guy comes in very, very handy. Of course, you have to get your head right down there with it. I have graduated into trifocals, and I don't know if you all have or not yet, but let me tell you what, it is no fun at all. And I have cataracts, so at some point I'll have to have my cataracts removed, and then maybe these crazy glasses will go away. Okay, so that's card number 3 done. So we had 3 today. So we had 3 cards today. Let's see, we started with this one, and I went back and added 3 little punch dots, and I took some of those leaves and added 3 more little leaves in there. I added 3 of those little leaves on this card as well, and then this one's all finished. So, I hope you enjoyed today, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye, y'all. Have a great week.